Good morning and welcome to the little apartment on the prairie. Today I'm going to make some vegetable stock and I thought I'd show you how I do it. It's really easy. If you want chicken stock or beef stock, that's easy too. I just make it vegetarian because I don't eat meat. But you can add some beef bones, some chicken carcass, whatever you want if you want meat flavor in yours. But it's a really easy thing to make, and it's a great way to use up like veggie scraps so you don't have as much food waste. So what you need is a big giant stock pot. This used to be a spaghetti pot. I borrowed, well, I kind of took from, what's the right word? I borrowed it and then managed to keep it from a friend. Let's put it that way. Here comes Isaac. Give me your Kong. I will get you a treat. Okay, so what you do is you save all the scraps of veggies. Like if you've got the tops of carrots. Where's your treats, Isaac? If you've got carrot tops, you've got the tops of celery or like a limp piece of celery that you don't know what else to do with, or you've got onion skins or bits of onion left over, or peppers that are starting to get shrivelly. Here, Isaac. All that stuff, you save it and then you make stock out of it. So I usually have a container, plastic bag in my freezer. This has a lot of celery in it. This stock is going to have a lot of celery, not for any reason except that's what I've got this time. It's got some pieces of onion, some onion skins. It's got some sweet potato peels. I don't know what else is in there, but that's what we're going to start with, but I've got other stuff to put in there too. So each time I make it, it comes out a little different because it depends on what I've got, to put in it. This is some more celery and onions and some more onion. I really like a lot of onion in mine because I really like onion. So I always make sure I get lots of onion in there. I'm going to grab some garlic out of the fridge. Now I like to put a big spoonful of garlic in mine, and you can put any kind of herbs you like in yours. I'm going to add some salt and pepper. And sometimes it's when I've got herbs that are kind of old, they've been in the cabinet a while. So I've got like this big heaping tablespoon of garlic because I like garlic. Sassy, this is not for you, little girl. And sometimes I put some weird stuff in mine, like I've got some dried dandelion from the spring. Dandelion flowers have a lot of vitamins, and it's a good way to use it up, so I'm going to put some of that in there. Somewhere, of course I'm not sure where I put it. Hi Isaac, you're a little bit in the way, bud, but that's alright. I had some dried kale that I was adding to Isaac's meals, and I don't know where I put it because I was gonna throw some of that in here, but anyway, I've got some sweet peppers that are dehydrated. I'm gonna throw some of that in there, give it a little bit of flavor. I'll put all kinds of peppers in there. It's just something you can put all sorts of stuff in, which is part of what's cool about it. What do I got? Onion powder, homemade onion powder. I dehydrate onions and then you grind them up to powder, so I'll add a little onion powder in there. It's slightly old. It's like getting a little bit clumpy. It's not like too old to use, but it's a little bit clumpy, so it's kind of a good thing to, what is this? This is dried liver. I didn't know I had more dried liver in there, Isaac. You'll be happy to know that. Okay, I mean, you never know what you're going to find in my cupboard, right? So then this might seem a little bit weird, but I'm going to throw an apple in there. I'm going to cut it up. An apple and vegetable stock gives it good flavor. Sometimes I'll put apple scraps in it if I have some. A lot of times I don't because I use those to make apple cider vinegar, but I'm just going to cut that apple into 4 pieces and throw it in there. And I've got somewhere a piece of, it's not that old, but I've got a piece of sweet potato that's been in my fridge a while. I'm going to cut it up a little bit and throw it in this stock too. Isaac, I know what you want, but it is not dinner time yet. Like, it's not really even close. I'm just going to cut this up so it'll kind of, I don't know, the flavor gets in better. And there goes a piece on the floor. Sassy will play with it if I don't pick it up. Alright, What else do I have? I got some yellow squash from my garden. Yellow squash from my very own garden, you guys. Did you see the picture of it? But I'm going to throw a couple pieces of that in there. So you just kind of throw a little bit of whatever you have. Isaac, you don't like squash. I mean, you might with your dinner, but like if I just give you a piece of squash, you are not going to say thank you, that's delicious, and eat it. Okay, so I got that. You know what I'm going to put in there? I'm going to put a splash of homemade apple cider vinegar. I did a video, you guys, a while back on how to make apple cider vinegar, and it's really easy if you go back and find it if you want to make some. But when I say a splash, I don't know, I really mean a splash. I don't know if that was a quarter cup or less. So I'm going to add some salt and pepper. Usually I have carrots in here, but I don't think I have any carrots this time, but that's okay. The interesting thing is, I mean, it's a little bit different every time. Isaac, bring me your Kong. Little salt. You gotta bring it here, boy. You gotta bring me the toy. I'm not coming to get it. Behind some pepper. You gotta bring it here, dog. Little pepper. It just comes out a little bit different every time. It's always good. Bring it here. Bring me the toy. So it comes out a little bit different each time. It's always good. What I'm going to do is grab Isaac another treat because he's spoiled to death. What I'll do is fill that pot up with water, like to the very top. And then I'll bring it to a boil, let it boil for 15 or 20 minutes. Then I'll put a lid on it and turn it down to simmer and let it simmer for somewhere between an hour and maybe an hour and a half. This is not very scientific. It's not a recipe. You see what I'm doing? I'm just throwing in whatever I have. I don't know. Do I have any other spices I want to throw in there? What would be good in there? I don't even know what some things would taste like in there. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to put anything else in there, I don't think. But then I will let it cool down. Then I will strain it. I'll show you when I strain it. And then I'm going to can it, but I probably won't can it until tomorrow or the next day, so I'm going to put it in a couple big glass jars and store it in my fridge until then. And if you wanted to have meat in it, like I said, you could throw chicken carcass, beef bones, whatever in there, and that'd be fine too. If you don't want to can yours, you need to pressure can it unless you want to water bath it for a really long time. I pressure can it, but you could also freeze it, and then you've got this really good broth for whenever you make soup or stew or chili or whatever you make. You can cook rice in it, cook potatoes in it. Instead of using plain water, give it some more flavor, and that's it. And I just keep a container. I had it in a Ziploc bag this time in the freezer because I was short on freezer space and I could fit a Ziploc bag in there better. A lot of times I have jars or I have a big Tupperware container, or not Tupperware, but one of those plastic rubber things. But that's all there is to it, and it's super easy. So I'll be back in a few hours and show you what it looks like when I strain it. You can then feed the veggie scraps to your chickens or your pigs, or you can compost them, or you can just eat some really well-cooked veggies if you want. You could probably blend some up and put them in a soup or something. I don't know. I usually just compost mine. So I will see you in a couple hours when it's done and show you how it looks when I strain it. Okay, it is now many hours later and I am back. I would have been doing this sooner, but my neighbor came over, asked me if I wanted to go fishing. I have been going fishing lately. I'll have to tell you about that. There's a whole story, but not right now. So anyway, by the time I got home and I'm exhausted, it started to rain on us. And what are you, Sassy? Leave that doggy alone. Sassy's bothering Isaac. Okay, so I'm home now, so I'm going to show you. I'm going to strain my veggie stock, and what I've got is this pitcher, and I'm putting it in my sink in case I dribble, and it holds a gallon, and I'm putting my strainer on top of it, So I'm going to grab this big pot of veggies. Probably took this long to cool anyway. And the reason I like strain it over a pitcher, I used to do it over a big bowl, but the pitcher works really well because then I'm going to pour it into a couple glass jars that'll fit in my fridge. And I'm splattering some of it on my arm. So Sassy, I really don't need your help. I should let you go back and bother the doggy instead. This is probably going to make more than a gallon of broth, so I'm going to pour some of this into a glass jar so I have more room. I've got some half-gallon glass jars. You know, of course, you can pour it into anything you want. It pours easier this way than if it's in a bowl. And if you wanted to freeze it, instead of, you know, I'm going to can mine, and I'm going to can it in quarts and pints. But if you wanted to freeze it, I usually freeze in wide mouth quart jars. But the trick to freezing jars without them breaking is you're going to fill it up about this high and put it in the freezer. I put it in the freezer before I put the lid on it. I let it freeze. There's plenty of room for the liquid to expand. If I'm freezing it in a quart jar or a pint jar, you know, then I use the ones that are the wide mouth jars and they don't have that lip. And if they're going to break, they are not lip, shoulder, like the, I don't know, the shoulder of the jar. This is where jars usually break, if they're going to break in the freezer, in my experience. And I've frozen a lot of liquids in jars, and I've had very few break. So, if they are going to break, though, that's where. And so if you use wide mouth quarts or pints, they don't have that shoulder, then they're less likely to break, in my experience. I know some people just say, oh, they break too easily, don't freeze stuff in jars, but I do it. Or I used to do it. I do it less now because I pressure can, but like I used to make stock and I just froze it all. Now, of course, you could also freeze it in, I think that's about all the broth. So you could also just freeze it. It's just a little more than a gallon, but I don't think it's going to fit in that jar. Let's see. Something else. You know, you could freeze it in like those Ziploc bags that are made for things like soups. Or in plastic containers, whatever kind of containers you like. I'm just partial to canning jars. Alright, so that's it. I've got like 2 half-gallon jars and almost a quart, so it's a little bit more than a quart of broth. And I'll can it, I'll put that in the fridge, and then I'll can it in a day or two. Don't have to can it right away. And it makes great broth. So let me know if you make broth like this. If you try it, let me know how you like it. And everybody, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And have a good day. What's left of it.